The Delhi High Court has urged the union government to tighten regulations on language used in OTT content that is streamed on over-the-top or OTT platforms. The High Court has called for the legislature to consider framing laws or rules to strictly enforce the application of IT Rules 2021 for intermediaries. The High Court in its observation said that sexually explicit language used in the web series has a definite effect of depraving and corrupting young minds, and in the name of individual freedom, such language cannot be permitted to be served to the general public. Let's put out for you the entire timeline that took place in this case. 2018 is when the series College Romance released on an OTT platform called TVF, The Viral Fever. 2019, the Metropolitan Court directed the police to register an FIR against TVF, Simarpreet Singh and actor Apurva Arora under sections of IPC and IT Act. 2020, TVF filed a review petition before the ASJ. 2020, again, the Additional Sessions Judge, or the ASJ, dropped the IPC sections but ordered the police to register the FIR under the IT Act. 2023, the Delhi High Court, dealing with the petitions filed by TVF series director Simarpreet Singh and actor Apurva Arora, challenged the order of the Additional Sessions Judge and the ACMM. The court said, and I read out part of the order here, in the name of individual freedom, such language cannot be permitted to be served to the general public and be represented to the world at large as if this is the language that this country and the youth in educational institutions speak. Holding so will amount to a dangerous trend and will be against public interest. So Justice Sharma concluded that obscenity in the web series and the fact that it is available to public at large is sufficient to warrant criminal prohibition. She therefore ordered the police to register FIR under sections of IT Act. However, the judge clarified that the direction to register FIR does not include a direction to arrest any of the accused persons. So let me welcome here on the program, joining me this evening is Mr. Darshan Jariwalla, well-known actor, a very familiar face on TV and movies. Thank you so much, Mr. Jariwalla, for joining us. Like you heard, the issue is of obscenity. The issue is of explicit content. And this is not just about one show, College Romance, or one OTT platform, the TVF. This would concern OTT content across board, and you've been part of some of those shows as well. To what extent do you believe that the courts should regulate content in OTT?
I do beg to differ with the Honorable Court's view on this, because there is, there have been instances of much more subversive content on the OTT platforms before. This is a very old case, and especially it is directed to two actors who, as we all are aware, actors, it is their bread and butter to act on, let's say, TV platforms or films or theater, and they speak words which are written by someone else. They are directed by somebody else.
Yes.
They are depicting the characters in the most authentic manner, and what one has to see is whether the use of any so-called obscene language is how much germane it is to the theme and to the surrounding circumstances of a television serial subject.
Yes.
You cannot have, one size fits all kind of an approach, which this order seems to be, talking about. And this is definitely not representational of the country. And I think the viewers are definitely the ultimate judges to understand this.
Yes.
It is their power of opining on this that is being taken away by some another agency.
Mr.
which is
Jariwalla, if I can point
yeah,
out here that there is an issue here, as you would be aware, when it comes to movies, there is the CBFC, which is, of course, the competent
right,
authority to decide. So once it
right,
gives the clearance, and we here as a channel, we have always said that once the competent authority gives the clearance, no fringe
exactly.
element has any business to object or call for a boycott. But in this case, in OTTs, unfortunately, we do not have such a regulatory body as of now. OTT content comes under digital content. It is bound by the IT rules. Do you
Right.
believe that since the burden of responsibility is on the content creators, it makes things complicated? Time and again, issues will be raised.
Absolutely. And you see, though these rules, I have also gone through these rules, and they're very vague in their definitions. Uh, the so-called appeal mechanism is also, there is a talk of holding a committee which will also hear appeals, but that committee also the government recommends that there is to be one bureaucrat on that. Now, you see, I think OTT is a worldwide phenomena. You are having very porous borders between countries for exchange of content across the all these platforms, where I mean, originating from India, you can probably try and control that, even
Yes.
if you could. But those young minds that will be depraved, as the honorable judge is afraid, uh,
Yes.
uh, 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 won't they be depraved if they see content coming out of other countries dubbed in their own languages? Are you going to be able to put a muzzle on that? I think I think though I must say that maybe uh, the the concern of the court may be valid, but
Right. What you're
the
saying is here
way.
is an area where, content is open to youngsters irrespective of whether it's an
Yes,
Indian content creator or not, and
correct.
to, put any kind of checks or any kind of regulation would be defeating the purpose
Would
because
be
there are other
very, and
content available elsewhere. Yes.
it would be very difficult to have a fair and just mechanism, a process by which this
Yes.
can be decided.
Right.
I think, yeah.
I have a caller, Mr. Jariwalla, stay with us. Minakshi from Bengaluru is joining the show here. Minakshi, very good evening. What are your thoughts on this?
Good evening, Afrida. See, first of all, I want to present one fact. That is, I don't think obscenity can be categorized under creativity as such. If that were the case, then all the books, and stuff like that wouldn't be called porn and, kept aside in the first place. And if that were to be creativity, then we would require a Nobel Literature Prize for such stuff too, right? Now, the problem here is we don't have a regulatory body for OTT. And I think the court is right in talking about it in the sense of what is getting percolated down to the children. I mean, that's the moot point because OTT is available at the touch of a button. And there is no curb as such as a censor board or what
But why
have you.
should our lawmakers decide? I mean, isn't that the responsibility of, say, parents, guardians, every household? Some households are very liberal. Some parents talk,
Exactly.
explicit content with their children very openly. Some parents do not. Now, to have a one-size-fits-all sort of a regulation, though I take your point about how a lot of pornography is being passed off in the name of creative liberty. So, Mr. Jariwalla, Minakshi from
I
Bengaluru is raising a valid point that there is content
no,
where
I
even when there is no creative liberty in place, content is
no
being
no.
pushed so that it sells more, so that it grabs eyeballs.
Meenakshi ji makes a point about creativity, but I do believe that your ancient Bharatnaट्य Shastra also has Navarasas, of which Bipatsa is one of them. If that is a part of, let's say, the curriculum of a Bharatnatyam, course of study, uh, then, uh, then who are we? Obscenity and profanity has to be judged in reference to whether it is germane to the to the subject being
Yes.
talked about.
Fair
And
enough. Yes.
self-censorship is the best censorship. If we do have child safe locks on the TV also nowadays.
Right.
We have parental responsibility and available. We have available gadgets where parents can definitely exercise their own set of what goes into the ears and minds of their young children. And
Okay.
then the point is that they have to then just pray to gods that once they step out of the house, the same fears that the parents are having about them being depraved and being spoiled because of all this.
The court, it seems that in this case seems to be expressing a concern what is being perpetuated for the next generation, what is being normalized. So that is the concern, if I read the order correctly. I have another caller, Ishika from Indrapuram. Yes, Ishika, go ahead. What are your thoughts on the subject?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a teacher, and all of us, the teacher community rather, we have been thinking of doing something about this, that the children's mind are getting corrupted by all this easy availability of these contents. And we want the court, the government, and you as media people to save our children from all this.
But is that possible?
They don't.
Is that possible? Because Mr. Jariwalla just mentioned that even if we put some curbs, the children will still access content online from other international portals. Today, the world has moved on to such an extent that content is available freely all across. How many websites will you block? How many content creators will you bar from India? Is it even possible? That's the question. Ishika, thank you for joining us. Yes, Mr. Jariwalla.
I do. I just want to say that we have to develop a healthy atmosphere within our homes where we can instill that sense of discretion in our children about what is good, what is bad, what is good, what is right, what is wrong. And even if they are bombarded by a lot of mud, I would use that word. If they're bombarded with content which is prurient, then they themselves develop the discretion and reasoned discretion to switch off those televisions even before the parents can switch it off for them.
Yes, but Mr. Jariwalla, even this process is a fair process, isn't it? If somebody should find objectionable content, let them file a petition in court, let them invoke IT Act, let those content creators appear and make their point and argue their case.
Change the channel. I think, why do we want government or judiciary to decide things for us, which is our responsibility actually to decide? I am not talking about any rights of freedom of expression or anything like that. I'm talking about from the responsibility point of view. If I believe, so that is our responsibility to take care of the mental ecosystem of our children, where they are, till they become mature enough to make these decisions.
This is very
themselves.
important, and perhaps a message to parents here that what children are consuming on their gadgets, on their phones, on their television screens does become a responsibility of parents. So that responsibility cannot be entirely shifted to the lawmakers and say, okay, give us a law that bars all of this content. Thank you so much, Mr. Jariwalla, for joining us here this evening and sharing your views on the subject. And thanks a lot to all our callers for joining in on the program.